Yeah, like the one thing that women respect most in men may surprise you. Okay, it's not your job. It's not your car. It's not your looks. This single trait changes how women see you. Okay, if you want attraction that lasts, this is the trait. Now, I used to think, I remember being, makes me laugh. I used to be a teenager and I was trying to prove myself to my dad, my brother. I was trying to prove myself to me. I was trying to prove myself to my friends. I was trying to prove myself to the girls that I wanted to like me, thinking that if I was this guy who was, X, Y, Z, you name it, who had status, who was cool, who was this, who was that, that would somehow be attractive, right? And the irony is, and it's so obvious when you can see it, when you know what this trait is, it's so obvious that you don't have it when you don't, is that women respected me less when they could tell I was insecure and ultimately like not anchored in who I was. And I later much later, learned the trait that actually builds lasting respect. And it's actually weirdly simple. So here's my promise. By the end of this video, you're going to know what that one trait is, the research behind it, 3 ways to practice it, and a little 60-second quiz you can test and see how you are. So if you're ready for the big reveal, here it is. The single thing that women find most or that they respect most is consistent competence paired with emotional availability. So I call it reliable competence. Okay, so science quote is here: across relationship research and social psychology, trustworthiness and reliable action predict long-term attraction and partnership stability more than status or looks. Okay, so repeated small, reliable actions build trust and respect in the brain. Okay, so this is obviously what we want to be taking advantage of and harnessing. So why does reliable competence beat status? Because status is flashy and short term, and competence is durable. And competence means, by definition, if you are competent, you're not compromising, and that is you're not shirking on who and what you really are. Okay, and emotional availability, and by the way, I do a whole video on emotional availability, what it is and how to cultivate it, so be sure to check that out because that's really worth a course on its own. But emotional availability ensures that your competence isn't cold, it's anchored in connection and meaning. So you might have someone who's got a great job but has flaky behaviors, and that triggers insecurity in others, or someone might be having a steady and more modest career creates safety. And by the way, you can have both. It's not about wealth or status, but it's just if that status is not anchored in a firm and embodied sense of who you are, it's easy to knock over and it won't feel emotionally, it won't be emotionally available. It won't be able to connect. And so I see so many guys, trying to impress. I was just laughing with a friend of mine the other day about people's online dating profiles and the words they use and the pictures they take of themselves. And it is so clear that they're not being themselves, that they're not anchored in who they are, that they feel like if I do this, you'll like me. Okay, and what that communicates to women is you haven't got a strong center, and without a strong center, they know you're not competent. And the other way around, if you are competent, if you can develop this sense of, I know who I am and I know what I can do and I know how to apply myself or I know how to learn, that competence, that translates into many different areas of your life. If you can build that muscle in one area, you can translate it. And that's attractive. Okay. If you know what you need and feel, then you can know what others around you that you care about need and feel, or you can find out. And that brings the emotional availability. And so 3 behaviors that equal reliable competence. Number one, follow through. That means keeping your commitments. If you say you're going to do something, you darn well do it. And if you don't want to do it, you've got the courage or the balls to say no. I'm not going to do that, rather than say yes and let someone down. Okay, so have a think about this week, an action, a commitment you can pick and fulfill it with, and no need for explanation. But this is for you. This is building that sense of in you. If I say I'm going to do something, I do it, and building that engine inside you. Okay, this is the second behavior now, emotional attunement, and what that means is when you're with someone, listen. So your 3 magic words are, tell me more, right? So it's not listening, and after, if the male brain, if we don't listen for more than 7 or 8 seconds, we try and fix something. Like we see things as problems to be solved, not things to connect with. Okay. So you have to get past that 7 or 8 seconds. And the way you do that is to train yourself to listen, not to solve, not to fix, but just to find out more and get curious. So an example might be, that sounds really hard. Tell me more, right? And you're curious. You're not trying to listen for a problem to solve. You're just curious about someone's inner world. So behavior number 3 is, can you be calm under pressure? And this takes practice. And this is where the other video on emotional availability is hugely important, because I talk about how we can build emotional resilience. But what it looks like is a steady voice in stress. Okay. So when stress and overwhelm hits, you can go to breath, calm yourself down, and come up with practical solutions. And that's what breeds leadership. Okay. So, something you can do at home is, maybe you could, imagine a situation that goes a certain way or goes wrong, what you might say or do, right? So you can practice the skill. Another thing you can do is journal to yourself, how can I express more of my courage, right? So when you ask your brain a question, it finds answers. Like if you're looking, if you're shopping for a type of car, you tend to start seeing that type of car everywhere, right? Because your brain is a filtering mechanism. So if you tell it to look for courage, it will find courage more often and more easily, right? So another question, another great journaling prompt we use is, how can I face this now? It assumes you can. It assumes you've got the strength and energy to, and you do. You just have to tap into it and activate it, right? So little 60-second quiz. So if you answer yes to 3 or more of these, then you're in the, a good zone of reliable competence. Number 1, do you show up on time 90% of the time or more? Yes or no? Okay. Number 2, do you follow up or you follow through when you say you're going to do it, right? So if you say you're going to do something, would the people around you say, you know what, he'll do it? Or do they say no, right? Third question, when you ask about how someone's feel, are you actually listening, or are you trying to solve them? Are they like a case you're trying to solve, or are you openly curious about what's going on inside them? Okay. And the fourth thing, can you stay calm when things go wrong? Yes or no, right? So think about your answer. Do you show up on time? Do you follow, like, did you do what you're going to say you're going to do? Do you ask about someone's feelings with an intent to listen? And can you stay calm in a crisis? 4 questions. If you say yes to 3 or more, well done. If not, you've got some work to do. Some common misconceptions, right? So a lot of guys talk me about, playing games as a part of like the dance between men and women. It's like, games are for boys. Games are for boys. Confidence comes from competence. There's something in psychology actually called the confidence competent loop. So the more competent, the more of this inner sense of who you are and how you apply it and what you can do when you apply yourself with intention, the more you build that, the more confident you become. And as we talked about, that's what's attractive. Second misconception is, I'm not perfect. No one's expecting us to be perfect. We don't need perfection. You do need, however, I would suggest, world according to Christian, the willingness to improve, the willingness to apologize when you mess up, and the desire to get better. The masculine force wants to become more. It wants to become more than it is. It wants to grow. It wants to literally penetrate the world. Okay. And so that force needs us to act it and to get it into embodied action. So some things to think about for this coming week. Okay. First thing, and if you watch more of my videos, you'll see I talk about this a lot because it's so important. Say what you're going to do and do it. Otherwise, don't say you're going to do it. And this builds trust in us, and it gets other people to trust the masculine, which is so desperately needed in the world. One of the biggest complaints about men is that they say they're going to do something and don't do it, or they say they're going to be there. Stereotypical example is a dad says, to their child, I'll take you out on this day, and they don't show up, or they, something happened and gets in the way, right? It's so important. If we say we're going to do something, that we do it, we keep our word. Second thing is, when you're listening, like pick someone, like just in your next week, look for someone to listen to, maybe a friend or a colleague. And when they listen, don't fix, don't try and solve them. Your 3 magic words are, tell me more. Okay. And then be genuinely, heartfeltly curious in listening. If you don't feel like being curious and listening, don't do it. Okay. Just wait until you do. Third thing is, reflect on how you can express more of your courage. I want you to start asking this question. I set alarms on my phone for things I want to prompt myself with. So I would have an alarm on my phone that comes up, how can I express more of my courage now? Right. And just get your brain and nervous system to think about that, to look for it, to come up with ways for you to be more courageous. It will surprise you. If you want deeper work on emotional availability, watch the video on emotional availability. There's another one called Defining Healthy Masculinity, which has got tons of fab stuff in it. Comment below with how reliable you are and what you keep your word to. I'm really curious to see how this shows up in your life. And I love reading those comments. And if there's some juicy ones in that, I will reply and or make another video about it. My instant authority course goes through this in way more depth. We've got role plays. There's a private Facebook group. I get on there. We do live videos, etc. There's tons of great stuff. We'd love to have you be in there. There's a link below where you can find out more. And just remember, real attraction is not performance. Okay, it's a dependable, embodied sense of strength. It's emotional presence. Okay, so practice your reliability and watch respect follow. Looking forward to seeing you in upcoming videos.